Adam Schefter has echoed what many people in the national media are echoing, that it seems like the Bears are content at keeping the number one overall pick, which would mean potentially them drafting Caleb Williams. Now, we're going to talk about what Justin Fields' trade market could be out there in the open market if this is true. We're also talking about Jaylon Johnson still having his heart in Chicago, but his mind focused on the money and some of the best free agents or biggest free agent decisions that the Chicago Bears have to make with their own free agents right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for this morning. So, listen, of course, you're getting a lot of kind of all the things that signs right now. A lot of people are guessing, odds have it that the Bears are going to keep the number one overall pick, which would mean drafting Caleb Williams. Adam Schefter, which was on the Pat McAfee show, said this: there are a few issues with this. Number one, are the Bears going to be willing to move on from taking Caleb Williams, which I believe seems to be the widespread consensus around the league, that Caleb's will be the number one pick. And if they are willing to move on from him, then you have to be like Drake May or Jaden Daniels enough or Justin Fields. But again, the feeling around the league seems to be that they'll wind up trading Justin. Whether or not they do, we'll see, but that seems to be the feeling. Now, let's be clear here. Adam Schefter, just like any other national media pundit or analyst, no matter how much plugged in he is, has not been 100% right on everything. But there is enough signs and enough conversation to say that the Bears may seriously be considering moving on from Justin Fields. Now, you know, us here at Chicago Bears Central, I don't want to speak for everyone as far as all, 5 people you'll see on this channel, but we are of the mind mainly of, hey, let's build this thing out. Let's improve the offensive line. We got a better offensive coordinator in here. Let's take a look at what Justin looks like under those circumstances. But as I've been saying, with Ryan Poles having maybe what a position he may never be in again, as far as having the number one pick 2 years in a row, may have to review this and think, maybe there's a better, maybe we may need to take our shot now and go ahead and get Caleb Williams in the door, and then takes our bumps and things where they may go after that point. Now, I know this is not consensus amongst Bears fans. Matter of fact, per every poll that we do on this channel, seems like, at least on this base, most fans want to see the Bears keep Justin Fields and improve it, and they look at things like that and say, hey, if we get another weapon in here, we get the offensive line together, we think Justin's going to take that leap. But that is something that the front office really has to weigh, is that betting on Justin Fields making that step now with the right situation around him, or do you kind of reset that clock, as a lot of people are kind of wording it, and look at bringing in a rookie quarterback to then go forth and make your decisions at that point in time. Now, if the Bears do decide to move on from Justin Fields, again, something that not a lot of people will want to see, but it is something that we do have to talk about because it is an option that this team may go. You have to wonder which teams are going to be interested in, and I think it comes down to 4 main teams. Now, this isn't exclusive. It could be teams other than this. You just never know, but the Patriots, the Broncos, the Falcons, and the Seahawks seem to be the teams that right now are probably the most likely that would be interested in Justin Fields. Now, some of those teams are going to get, a J.J. McCarthy, right, a Michael Penix, a Bo Nix, right, that they're going to be willing to take the shot on that. But are those teams going to be willing to offer up to go ahead and get Justin Fields, a player that's been in the NFL now, that you have a little bit more tape on him, that you may think that you can solve his flaws, even if the Bears don't think that they can? And so those are kind of the teams that you look at and say, all right, these are probably the teams that are going to be most likely. There are some other chances. The Raiders are out there, things like that. There are definitely some other teams that could be interested in the services of Justin Fields. But those are kind of the 4 right now that kind of seem like they may be the most. Now, again, you notice the Commanders aren't on that. They definitely could be a team that's in there that could be interested in that as well. But with them hiring Cliff Kingsbury, maybe that may point to them trying to get a Caleb Williams and things like that. But if the Bears are holding on to it, they're going to be SOL. But that's what it comes down to. And then those teams that are interested in Justin Fields' salary that could affect what they're willing to trade for him, it may come down to the contract. Yes, his 2024 salary is a rookie scale salary, but then you have to look at picking up that 5th-year option, which any team that trades for Justin Fields is probably going to immediately pick up that 5th-year option. Yes, it's $23 million in 2025, but they're probably going to want to take advantage of having those 2 years to really assess Justin Fields and where he is. Again, this is if the Bears trade him and things like that. So with that much financial commitment paired with giving up draft capital, that's kind of going to determine what the deal you're going to get back for Justin Fields is. And so, with that said, where will the Bears' focus be if they move on from Fields? Is it going to be trying to get more capital in this year's draft, which is 2024? Are you going to try to get a second-round pick? You don't have a second. You gave up your second in this draft. Do you do that, or do you try to kick that into 2025? And that's where it gets a little bit more interesting at, because if they do try to pick it out to 2025, you may end up getting that second-round pick. But some people are saying that if it's in 2024, you're probably not going to get higher than a third-round pick, maybe an additional pick, a third or fourth-round pick in 2025, or you could try to get a higher pick in 2025. Now, again, this is kind of all up and down. You'll read two different articles, 2 different days, and they'll give you 2 different, or 3 different, sometimes 4 different evaluations of what Justin Fields can net back. I know some Bears fans heard that initial rumor towards the start of the offseason, saying, hey, the Bears could get the Atlanta Hawks. They could be willing to offer up number 8. I just don't see that happening. If I'm just being 100% honest, I don't see them going that direction. I could be wrong on that completely, but it just does not seem like the Atlanta Falcons are going to be willing to give up their first-round pick, which is 8th overall for Justin Fields in this draft. They're probably going to try to use that for either protections, weapons, or something on the defensive side of the ball, and maybe focus more towards a second, third-round pick, things like that, combination of the two. So that's what the Bears have to also evaluate. I've said it before, in the conversation that comes down between Justin Fields and Caleb Williams, it comes more than just to the 2 players. It also comes back in the packages that you can get by either trading Justin Fields or trading the number 1 overall pick. You have to weigh that not only for the present but also for the future. So that is something that you also have to look at in that area as well if you're going to try to make that determination on what you can get back for Justin Fields. What's a fair value back for Justin? You're not going to get the haul, of course, that you're going to get for the number 1 overall pick, because if you were, then you probably end up just holding on to him. But it just, we'll see. I think, like with most things around this scenario and around this area with the Bears, you gotta look at everything. And I don't think Ryan Poles has made his decision. Ryan Poles has said himself he may push out making this decision until April, and so you gotta kind of believe that there is at least a chance of that happening. Is that I know people, and it makes for better headlines. It would make for a better title of this video if it's like, we know the compensation that you like to say things as facts when they're not necessarily. It's a lot of gray area between that and a lot of discussion made. And when you look over the history of like quarterbacks who've kind of disappointed and who've moved on, you don't really get first-round picks back for those guys. But I'll tell you what, Ryan Poles has worked out magic before. And, if he does end up moving on from Fields, I don't doubt that he's going to get a really good deal back, or probably the best deal that's out there. But then you got to weigh that question on, have you now made that right decision on that quarterback? And we'll end up seeing what it is. Like I've said many times, if you guys watch these daily episodes, I am really somebody who I don't envy the position that Ryan Poles is in. I can talk about things. I try to be fair in analysis and look at both sides of things, regardless of where my opinion may lay. And listen, there are positives and negatives to either route that the Chicago Bears decide to go with this decision. And, a lot of people are on the side of Fields. They want to see the Bears really give Fields a chance with some much better situation around him. And I know that's going to bring the naysayers of Fields to say, well, we saw quarterbacks thrive with less, in a lot of ways that we have at times, right? But, in fairness, every quarterback has their own perfect situation where they can develop in, and we'll see that. Like, I guess we'll end up seeing. I would love to see, for the people who are on the Caleb Williams side, if it does go where Justin Fields goes to another team that looks competent, has a competent offensive coordinator, if he does thrive, what that would mean. And then on the flip side of that, for the Bears fans like me who do want to see Justin Fields get that opportunity with those improvements, if we do move on from him and we look better with Caleb Williams, how do they react to that? This is going to be, like I said, I know the national media plays us against each other as Bears fans and things like that, but it's a situation where not a lot of teams have ever been in this situation, especially this early into a quarterback's career with this much other outside doubt and things around him on top of, having a new front office. This is a really unique situation when you look at just everything above. Having the 2 number 1 overall picks back-to-back years, like, it's just a lot to be said to that. And, like I said, I've talked a lot about, the benefits of keeping Justin Fields, talked a lot about the haul that you could get back. what you how you can set up your team for the now and the future and trading the number 1 overall pick. But in fairness, I also had to talk about what the Bears could get back in Justin Fields and what that market may look like for Justin Fields if the Bears do decide to move on from him. I'm not the one who's going to tell you that the Bears have made this decision or this move means that or this. That's not typically what I like to do. But it's an interesting scenario that we found ourselves in as a franchise, and we'll see where it ends up taking us. But with that said, man, let's go ahead and get into the next topic. So Jaylen Johnson at the Pro Bowl had a quote where he says, "Heart's definitely in Chicago, mind's definitely on the money. So, I mean, we'll figure out if we can make them both come together and get something done. I'm looking forward to see what's to come." And this is, of course, meant a lot of people to take it and run with it. And when it comes down to it, I don't have any problems with what Jaylen Johnson said here. Jaylen Johnson saying his mind's on the money, it should be. Because this is the NFL, and this career can be taken from you with a quickness, right? And we know that how contracts work in the NFL as well. It's not as much unless you get a lot of guaranteed money in it, but not as much security as like with the NBA and things like that. So I have no problems with Jaylen Johnson saying his mind's on the money. And when you look at Jaylen Johnson and just his performance, whether it be in a vacuum or anything else, Jaylen Johnson, PFF grades aren't everything, right? But let's be clear here. He ranked above a player like Sauce Gardner. Like he is right now balling. The eye test, especially after we got Montez Sweat and the improvements from that defensive line, tell it. The stats tell it. And so at this point in time, like you got to really look at Jaylen Johnson and say, this is a guy who I feel deserves, I want to see stay here. Quarterbacks only when they pass towards Jaylen Johnson, 46.3% of their passes they completed when targeting that. That's crazy. Also, he has a 28.5. He allows a 28.5 passer rating. That is one of the highlights. That's why he was a Pro Bowler. He is not, no doubt, undoubtedly one of the best cornerbacks in the game of football, period. And so with the Bears having, the cap space that we did, we're on pace to have about $67 million in cap space. We need a lot of positions to fill with that, but I don't think you find a free agent better than Jaylen Johnson. And I hope that Ryan Poles' words hold true, that he says Jaylen will be back. So, we'll see with that. We'll see what comes with that. I hope that it comes to fruition. And when it boils down to it, this is another big decision that Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren have to make in this offseason. And Jaylen Johnson is at the top of the list of Chicago Bears free agents that the Bears have to make decisions on. Kind of when you look at other free agents, right? Darnell Mooney is definitely a decision that has to be made there. 26 years old. And while I know that Darnell Mooney has left a lot to be desired with his production the last couple of years, there are still plenty of reasons to like Darnell Mooney, and especially with Shane Waldron coming in, being a coordinator who likes to pass the ball a lot. I do think that there is potential that Darnell Mooney can come back here. And I didn't think that at the end of the season. And that's how different an offensive coordinator, especially with the system that they bring, kind of changes things around the team. And so I can completely see Shane Waldron being interested in keeping Darnell Mooney on his team and thinking that he can work on it. Now, there's also that Matt Nagy out in Kansas City that could be looking at Darnell Mooney and saying, hey, I got this guy named Patrick Mahomes who I'm sure he can get you the ball. So, you end up seeing with that one. Justin Jones is another one as well. Like, it's interesting because Justin Jones played so much better after Montez Sweat got here. And so, he still has potential. He's 27 years old. I do hope that they improve and go out and get you a bigger 3-tech in that case. But listen, Justin Jones has some promise there as well. And so, in 2 seasons with the Bears, he had 7.5 sacks, 101 tackles, 22 tackles for a loss, and 24 QB hits. And he had 17 QB hits just last season. So, now that you have Montez Sweat there and you have that anchor on that defensive side of the ball, you may look to keep him. And, like I said, the 3-tech is hugely important in Matt Eberflus's defensive system as well. So unless you're going out there and getting another guy, we'll see. And, Justin Jones could be re-signed on a shorter-term deal while they're making sure they have what they have in Javon Dexter and ramping him up a little bit. So he's another one that I do think could come back. Now, the guys that I think are no way in hell coming back, Yannick Ngakoue, I just don't think they bring him back. He broke his ankle. Unless he wants to take a huge pay cut to come back here, maybe rehab his value, go back in free agency again the season after, maybe. But I just don't think Yannick Ngakoue is coming back here. Would have liked to see him a little bit more with Montez Sweat on the opposite side, but, it is what it is there. And Yannick's only 28 years old. Then Deontay Foreman. I think Deontay Foreman's tweet towards the end of that season, that shut the door on that one. I would love to see it come, but at the end of the day, you got to look at it. Ryan Poles and Shane Waldron, for that matter, are both a coach and things that really don't hesitate to use rookie running backs. And so because of that, I think that writing's on the wall there. Rasheem Green has already talked about basically he's not coming back, only though he's only 26 years old. Had some promise there. Lucas Patrick, I doubt Lucas Patrick is coming back. So these are all guys that are towards the top of the Chicago Bears free agent list. But I just don't think a lot of these guys are coming back, which is going to open up slots for new guys and some of the young guys to really step up in those opportunities as well. And we'll see what that brings for the Chicago Bears. So let me know what you guys think on that. Now, before we go, I do have one voicemail that I want to get on with you guys. This one's from Donovan.
What's going on, Haize? What's going on, team? It's your boy Donovan, man. Hey, you had put my voicemail in last week, and I was just recapping on the Tyreek Stevenson, Jaylen Johnson take I made. I still stand by it because me personally, this is what I think of the cornerback position. The best cornerback to me right now is L'Jarius Sneed of the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's just because of his physicality and his impact on the game. That's just me. Jaylen Johnson is the close second, and the other dude from the Niners, you like him too. I forgot his name, some Ward, I think. But that's where it comes in for me. Tyreek Stevenson has more physicality than Jaylen Johnson does. Jaylen Johnson can be physical, but I think Tyreek Stevenson is more effortless with his physicality, for lack of a better word. And I think he'll be better longer than Jaylen Johnson was, just based off of the tutelage that he's had and the experience, so to speak. Because I feel like Jaylen Johnson is giving him some of his gems as far as experience and understanding the game and whatnot. Because when he got his first interception against Atlanta, when he disguised the coverage, I was like, oh, damn. Jaylen Johnson did that a couple weeks earlier against the Vikings. That's the exact same place, exact same throw, exact same receiver in the same spot and the same type of interception. I know where he got that shit from. I'm saying, like, he's making these plays that can show his growth. And I feel like his growth is gonna be more apparent than Jaylen Johnson's was, because Jaylen Johnson was in here for a couple years before he really broke out. And, of course, he was younger than Tyreek Stevenson is when he first came in, and he was in those years when we had bad defenses and all of that and all of this. But I think Jaylen Johnson will be the face, but I feel like Tyreek Stevenson can be that guy that's really flying under the radar. And we can't pass it to 33, but goddamn it, 29 is there too. So I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do with it. And honestly, I'm just glad we got them both on our team. You know what I'm saying? I'm just glad we got them both on our team. Hey, shut down up, bear down.
And so, the cornerback situation. Listen, I get where you're getting at a lot with this. I get it, but to me, this cornerback crew that we have here, and potentially bringing back Jaylen Johnson and what he can mean, and having a young, just cornerback core of all guys that all kind of cover. Like, you have the Tyreek Stevenson, who I do think can be a more impactful as far as interceptions. I think he has that ball hawking mentality. He may get more interceptions than Jaylen Johnson, but Jaylen Johnson just bringing like the veteran leadership, and just the stats don't lie when it tells to Jaylen, and it's deeper than the stat sheet when it comes to Jaylen Johnson, I feel. And and that's part of it. Then you have Terrell Lewis that's coming off the bench as well, and we got Kyler Gordon. Like, we have this young quarterback core that I would just love to see get the opportunity to stay together and to see how they're going to continue to develop together. So I get what you're getting at there. Like I said, why you don't have to choose between either one of them. And I get what you're saying is that, you may be comfortable moving on from Jaylen because of what you have in Tyreek Stevenson and else. But here's my thing. Why second guess anything? They're always going to have players that get dinged up. They're going to miss a couple of games. And depth, especially in how versatile some of those players can be used, especially how Kyler Gordon has shown he could be used to stop the run and the pass blitz. Listen, man, we could potentially have one of those cornerback cores that gets feared around the league. And that's what I hope to see. That's why I want to see Jaylen Johnson come back. But, guys, let me know what you guys think, as always, down below. Make sure you're following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.